नहमदुहु व नुसल्ली अला रसूलिहिल करीम amma ba'd. Dear brothers and sisters, man's outlook of the universe has undergone a sea change consequent to the phenomenal advances he has made in the realm of astronomy today. Approximately a century ago, it was a time when the universe was so small and confined that it prided itself on no more than a handful of plainly visible stars. And even a couple of more centuries earlier to that, it was considered to be a geocentric one. But the rapid strides of science and technology during the 20th century, with the invention of a range of powerful telescopes and the constant space explorations, greatly contributed to the emergence of the other dazzling and immensely illuminating face of the universe, rendering the older concept a tiny and miserable speck in relation to the mind-blowing and boundless sea of the emerging one. It has thus discovered in the universe more than 100 billion galaxies, each one of them populated by hundreds of billions of sun-like or many times still bigger stars. And our very own Milky Way galaxy is home to around 400 billion stars. These numbers are so enormous that if only the stars of one single galaxy are to be dispersed among the present inhabitants of the earth, then each one of us would be richer by at least 60 of them. All that is visible to our naked eyes in the sky is around a mere 6,000 stars. All of them are the members of our own galaxy and lie in the immediate neighborhood of the sun. They are located in one of its spiral arms at a distance of around 25,000 light years from its core. Apart from these adjoining stars, nothing is usually visible to the plain eyes across the length and breadth of the night sky. Thus, whatever is directly visible to us bears absolutely no significance in comparison to the galaxy, let alone the amazing universe. Accordingly, the entire universe lies far beyond our eyesight to be felt or figured out with the help of some extremely powerful telescopes alone. Its true expanse could also be discerned from the fact that the far-flung galaxies are located at such inconceivable distances as billions of light years in every direction. Every galaxy varies from a few thousand to hundreds of thousands of light years in diameter and lies millions of light years away from the neighboring one. Even the average distance between the stars of the galaxy is 5 light years. The true picture of the universe was revealed to us consequent to the invention of some of the most advanced telescopes in the 20th century. As a result, modern astronomy is striving relentlessly in order to figure out as to what might exist in this gigantic universe. Do more solar systems similar to our own exist in the galaxy or elsewhere? If they do, then do they possess terrestrial planets or simply Earths similar to the Earth? If yes, then do they harbor life or the intelligent one as well? What might be the form of life there? Does man exist only in this precise part of the universe and in the obscure outskirts of the galaxy, or he enjoys many more similar abodes as well? Science enjoyed a rather easy and comfortable ride till this point. It did not prove much difficult for it to sit back on the earth and realize the true expanse and the broader picture of the universe chiefly by studying and analyzing the electromagnetic radiations emanating from the heavenly bodies. But the real challenge it is confronted with today is in finding other Earth-like planets in space and life in them. There is no denying the fact that it is an extremely demanding task and a difficult terrain. Science is very much aware of the limitations in this field. It is proving to be next to be impossible for it just to venture out of the solar system physically to reach the nearest star located at a distance of 4.3 light years or 40 trillion kilometers. Let alone this nearest star, man hasn't been able to land even on Mars, our neighbor planet, situated at 800,000 times nearer to it, or merely 50 million kilometers away. The same range of powerful telescopes that greatly enabled science to fathom billions of light years deep into the universe and picture the distant galaxies and other celestial bodies with great accuracy have failed miserably in detecting the planets revolving around even the nearest stars. This is because the light and other electromagnetic radiations radiated by them are billions and trillions of times fainter than their parent stars, rendering the telescopes ineffective in dealing with such an awkward situation. The optical telescope has lost its utility in this sphere long ago. The more powerful infrared one, together with other indirect techniques, have, however, until the year 2002, discovered roughly 70 solar systems in our nearby vicinity of around 250 light years in every direction. Research and development is presently continuing with frantic pace, and the present telescopes are being improved upon to enable micro-level studies of the heavenly bodies with more precision. The most optimistic aspect of these solar systems lying in our immediate neighborhood is that all the 200 odd planets discovered in them so far are all gaseous and are comparatively larger and of the size of our Jupiter, whereas the smaller terrestrial ones are yet to fall into our grasp. As a result, science is endeavoring very hard to determine as to which of these planets might be the terrestrial ones in order to search for life there. Many exclusive projects have been commissioned long ago under the banner of the Search for Extraterrestrial Intelligence, SETI, in order to communicate with the potential technological civilizations through artificial radio waves. Effort is being made under one such project to communicate with 40 such civilizations. This is the only true and effective mode the science is presently endowed with in its search for the life in the heavens. But this too is an extremely time-consuming and much annoying task. If, for instance, an effort is made in this fashion to communicate with the prospective terrestrial planet revolving around a 12 light years distant star, Tau Ceti, as is the case with the project SETI today, it would take the signal exactly the same 12 years to reach the target. If it so happens that some creatures are readily available there to receive it, or scientifically and technologically well advanced like we do to be able to decipher it and respond at once with the same coin, then it would take another 12 years for the counter signal to follow back to us. It would thus take a minimum of 24 years merely for the handshake. Hence, rather than we contacting the aliens afresh and reinventing the wheel, the major thrust of SETI today is centered on locating and listening to the prospective signals already beamed to us by the aliens themselves in their search of their own extraterrestrials. It should be borne in mind once again that all these efforts are being undertaken in anticipation that the probable extraterrestrial civilizations around us are more superior in scientific and technological terms and better skilled in interstellar communications than we do. But this task too is not that much easy either. It is, according to a scientist, akin to finding a signal bottled and cast in the deep oceans long ago. It is for these reasons that astronomy wasn't able to meet with any success as yet. Today, we have a situation where some Western government-funded premier space organizations have been forced to wind up their respective city projects in utter desperation, whereas there are still more, particularly the non-governmental ones, which are persisting in their endeavor in the earnest hope that they might succeed one day. This pertains to the practical aspect of the search for extraterrestrial abodes of intelligence physically. But modern astronomy has amassed many significant and irrefutable intellectual and rational arguments concerning their existence in abundance. That is to say that it has met with fair success in discovering the smoke permeating all through the universe, but it is yet to lay its hands on the precise fire giving rise to it. And in the present context, it seems highly probable that man could just firmly argue upon their definite existence rather than hunting them down physically. The most striking argument of the present day astronomy in this respect is as to why has man found existence at this precise point of time, in a very long geological history of an insignificant planet, of an ordinary star, at the outskirts of an average galaxy of the astonishingly old and gigantic universe, where he enjoys centrality neither his own solar system nor in the galaxy, let alone the universe. In its attempt to work out a solution to this core issue, science was able to gather some quite significant insights from the solar system alone. Of the four of its terrestrial planets, Mercury, Venus, Earth and Mars, particularly the last two resemble with each other the most. It should be borne in mind that generally it is the kind of these planets that science is currently on the lookout for in outer space. It has constantly tried to explore Mars by sending an array of probes both into its space and on the surface. As a result, it has found profound scientific evidence suggesting the abundance of liquid water on its surface in its distant past, which continues to exist even today in the form of frozen ice hidden deep beneath its surface. Existence of water as a rule is a precursor to life. Mars boasts a very thin atmosphere even today, compelling the science to draw the inference that it might have been much denser in the presence of surface liquid water billions of years ago. Science desires to conclude from this evidence that whenever the circumstances were conducive on Mars in the past, life might have existed there in some form or the other, just to be obliterated when they turned hostile. If so, then life just cannot remain confined to the earth alone. But in the same breath, it cannot be presumed to be similar to our own either. It can also be deduced from this on a much wider scale that wherever in the universe, Earth-like planets are found to possess the basic life-sustaining ingredients, life itself might exist there. But science deems only those ingredients to be life-sustaining that it is obliged to in our present context. It is absolutely not necessary otherwise for the components of life elsewhere to be similar to those over here too. If carbon, oxygen and nitrogen are its building blocks here, it can be some other elements elsewhere. Basing upon these arguments, in the estimation of modern astronomy, the number of potential terrestrial planets and the intelligent civilizations flourishing in just a single galaxy like ours might even exceed the incredible 10 million mark. But still, there are many more scientists who vehemently dispute it and believe that this fascinating universe belongs exclusively to us alone. In fact, such enormous difference of opinion among the scientific community quite clearly portrays the respective fairly optimistic and utterly pessimistic tendencies of both the parties to the dispute. If such is the case of one single galaxy, then it is anybody's guess as to what might be in store for us in the other at least 100 billion more galaxies. 100 billion more galaxies. Moreover, there is growing scientific evidence today suggesting the existence of many more invisible universes and the visible one as well. These are some of the empirical and observational realities and assumptions based thereupon concerning the true expanse of the universe, the potential multiplicity of the earths, and the probable existence of intelligent life in them, which have been dealt with very briefly here. Now, viewed from another angle, the modern science has benefited us in an unprecedented way, not only in our understanding of the many vital realities of the natural world, it has also enabled us greatly to place a whole host of statements concerning it of the Qur'an, the primary source of Islamic thought and jurisprudence, in their right perspectives. The groundbreaking realities, the groundbreaking insights thus obtained shall go a long way in resolving many of the riddles faced by the science itself in its ardent quest for the aliens. This humble writer thus wishes to share with the readers, with the esteemed readers at large, quite a few of them in the following pages. Hence, at the very outset, the Quran proclaims thus. Statement number 1. They did not esteem the Almighty the way He deserves, whereas all the earth would be in His fist on the last day, and the skies would be rolled up in His right hand. Chapter 39, verse 67. is a precise and definite assertion of the Qur'an concerning the multiplicity of the earths. Here, the original Arabic word jami, that is all, which accompanies another word to emphasize and pluralize it, has occurred with earth, denoting its plurality. Basing upon this verse, a multitude of the classical exegetes of the Quran since the earliest period has argued upon more than one earth in the universe. Chiefly among them are Zamakhshari, died 1143 AD, Razi, 1209, Qurtubi, 1272, Nasafi, 1301, Baizawi, 1389, Alusi, 1853, etc. Also, Tabri, 922, Baghawi, 1122, Ibn Kasir, 1505, etc. too have quoted extensively from Hadith substantiating this Quranic statement. More of this type of statements would be dealt with in due course. When we have at least one clear statement upon the plurality of the earth, we shall now deliberate upon their actual numbers, which shall, in return, reinforce the former further. Nearly all the exegetes mentioned above have argued upon 7 earths similar to the 7 skies. To arrive at this precise number, if their rational lot has taken to arguing from chapter 65, verse 12 of the Quran in the light of the prevalent astronomical knowledge of the time, the others have related it few narrations too. It should be remembered at this point of time that as far as the skies are concerned, the Quran definitely mentions their number to be 7 at not merely 1 or 2 places, but repeatedly on 7 different occasions. On the contrary, however, one doesn't find any such specification or stipulation concerning the number of earths in the universe. Nor have they appeared anywhere in their plural form either. It is high time, therefore, that in order to arrive at their real number, we took to gaining newer and more direct insights from the Quran in the light of modern human knowledge accumulated over centuries of observation and experiment, rather than the one that was based purely upon ancient logic. So, the Quran portrays the universe very marvelously on another occasion thus. Statement number 2. Blessed is he who made in the sky constellations, and in them made lamps and luminous moons. Chapter 25, verse 61. Lamp has metaphorically been used here to denote the sun, as a similitude has been drawn between the two at another place thus. Statement number 2.1. He made the sun a lamp. Chapter 71, verse 16. So, the pronoun them in the verse under discussion is compulsorily indicating the nearest noun, constellations, rather than the farther sky, which the earlier exegetes had thought to be the case due to the lack of any other alternate interpretation then. As such, the suns and the moons are contained in the constellations, and the constellations themselves in the sky. This contention is further strengthened by the following assertions that the sky has basically been divided into constellations themselves. Statement number 2.2. I swear by the sky of constellations. Chapter number 85, verse number 1. Statement number 2.3. Indeed, we have made constellations in the sky and adorned it for the onlookers. Chapter number 15, verse number 16. The word Puruj, with its singular Burj, used in these sentences to denote constellations, literally means castles or towers. But in the Quranic terminology, according to the noted exegete Razi, one of the meanings it has historically found is the 12 stellar constellations of yore. And it has found ready acceptance among a great number of former and later exegetes and researchers too. In the modern context, however, as they were totally unrealistic, speculative in nature, and based upon the classification of merely the partially visible part of the sky, these constellations of the ancient astronomy have lost their relevance completely. In the modern astronomy, though, the whole of the sky, both visible and invisible to the naked eye, has quite realistically been divided into such larger constellations of stars as are known today as the galaxies. Thus, in view of both the above Quranic statements and the present corroborative scientific evidence, the meaning of constellation could fairly and reasonably be enlarged and substituted with the wider galaxy today. And even this latter term seems to be more in harmony with its literal meaning than the former. Consider another significant aspect now. The words suns and moons stated to exist in the galaxies have appeared in singular numbers in the original Arabic text, whereas logic requires that to exist in multiple galaxies, they should be multiple in numbers themselves. As such, each galaxy should consist of no less than a sun and a moon. It thus shows that both of these words are appearing as plurals in their generic forms. There is ample evidence of the generic nouns appearing in singular forms in the Quran without the customary alif lam prefix to them. Sign, house, and grain in chapters 3:50, 7:78, and 36:33 respectively are a few other instances from the same Quranic usage. Now, if considered in the present context of the roughly 100 billion galaxies discovered so far in the universe, there have to be at least the same number of suns and moons, but their upper limit could be anything. Their true number could even be the one that is arrived at by multiplying the 100 billion galaxies with the hundreds of billions of more stars that each one of them is composed of. As far as the suns are concerned, there just cannot be an element of surprise in their numbers for the modern astronomy, as it has itself practically demonstrated to us that every star in the galaxies is a sun in its own right. The numbers concerning the moons, however, are definitely quite revealing and much fantasizing. But the moot point here is that when the universe is home to a minimum of 100 billion moons, then what could the number of Earths in it be? Can there be a moon without an Earth to revolve around? Or can a satellite exist without a planet? A moon is always the precursor of an Earth accompanying it. As such, Earth too have to be the same 100 billion at the least. The real number of Earths in the universe could also be deduced from the fact that merely one of the 400 billion stars of one single galaxy, that is the Sun, carries around it 8 planets or Earths and more than 60 moons revolving around them. Apart from them, 70 more solar systems carrying 200 odd Earths too have so far been discovered in our immediate vicinity, spanning around an area of just 250 light years in every direction, which is an extremely negligible fraction in comparison to the total area of the galaxy, 100,000 light years across. Remember, modern astronomy was only able to discover these many Earths in our close-by neighborhood, and it doesn't rule out the possible existence of many more fainter ones. So, if the present telescopes are improved upon, or some other superior technology is worked out, then it could radically alter the current scenario in the very same environs and elsewhere in the galaxy too. When such is the case with an ordinary galaxy, then one can truly imagine the other remaining galaxies and the number of Earths present in them as well. But at this point of time, it is an altogether different matter if these Earths are rocky and could be habitable, like our own Mercury, Venus, Earth and Mars, or gaseous and inhabitable, like Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus and Neptune. It could now be seen as to how brilliantly the Qur'an causes newer and far-reaching meanings to emerge in the contemporary scientific age from the same set of old words with a mere pronoun indicating the right noun. It could also be gathered from the present discussion that the Quran, rather than resorting to direct speech, cherishes to deal with and conveys the reality of the natural phenomena in such a meaningfully implied phraseology whose true purport should only be revealed at an appropriate time. In the present verse itself, for instance, rather than affirming the constellations and the galaxies to be containing Earth in clear and unambiguous terms, a very meaningful suggestion has been made that they do comprise moons. In other words, suns and moons have clearly been mentioned here, whereas the Earth, which form the crucial intermediate link between them, have intentionally been omitted so that this great natural reality should marvelously be revealed upon man only after he himself is able to figure it out through his own instincts and comprehension. It should be borne in mind here that far from any thought of the multiplicity of the moons, man in the ancient period was completely oblivious even of the fact that our own moon too owed its existence to that of the earth. The forthcoming discussion would effectively unveil the expediency behind this amazing mode of Quranic expression. Furthermore, the current Quranic affirmation of the presence of the suns in the galaxies bears another significant universal insight for us. It firmly establishes that All the stars contained in the galaxies are the suns in their respective spheres. As stated above, modern science too considers them to be the suns.